Welcome back, everyone. I got cold, so I put on a jacket. Can you tell? Um, we're gonna talk about working with fairies today, and I'm super excited. I'm gonna make multiple videos about fairies because clearly I love fairies. I'm the fairy medicine woman. Um, I've had questions about how fairies appear, how to know if it's a fairy, what do fairies do, and anything else that I want to share about fairies. So I'm gonna again break them out. I'm also gonna make some videos of me outside pointing you in the direction of how to find fairies because it's actually really fun. And if your spiritual gifts are developed enough, you'll be able to actually kind of witness their energy in the 3D, and it's really, really cool. So, first thing to know about fairies is there's a lot of different types of fairies, and they change based on region. They also change based on lifetime. So they're really old, but they don't like the word old in that sense. Like they kind of exist without aging in a way. Like they're not like humans. They just kind of exist and then evolve, and that's pretty much it. Um, but a few attributes about fairies that people don't think about is fairies are actually super fierce, like very, very, very fierce. Like they're not the type to be messed with. People think that, oh, because we've seen like Tinkerbell and all these drawings of fairies, that it's like they're the sweetest things we can like do. No, like fairies are very fierce. They're tiny, fierce warriors. They're extremely protective, and they will usually be around folks who are extremely gifted in some way, either through their clairs or through their creativity. And if you have a mix of both, they'll usually always be around. And sometimes, like, I like to make the joke that folks who have that fae like energy also kind of look like fae in a way. And then I started to meet more and more people who looked like fae, and I was like, see, it's totally true. It's not always the case, but you'll find that that usually happens. They just have a very like magnetic aura about them, and they're a little bit more high energy. They're very vocal. They're extremely connected to the spiritual realm, but they have a very unique way of looking at things, and they're extremely real because fairies again are honest, they're fierce, they're protective, and they're like unafraid to be themselves. They're super authentic. It's very rare that you're going to come across someone who has fae energy that is inauthentic. Like it's a fairy. They're going to be pretty authentic. And like they're just gonna give these really fun fae vibes. And what's also really cool about them is they do come in different colors. So that is also like something in the beginning that I didn't realize for the longest time. Because we like there's some books about fairies, but not in the sense like where you can kind of get to know them in the 3D realm and it kind of changes based on person. Like there's general folklore about fairies, but then it's kind of a colonized area. So there's a lot of stuff about fairies that is actually missing. But they do come in different colors. And if you have fae energy, or you notice that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing these fae around me, fae will always go to protect fae. So if you have them around you, you are likely also fae. And they will likely have a designated color for whatever their type of energy is. And some common places that you can usually find them is usually outside, obviously, around larger rocks in like crevices, things that twists in holes, and like areas outside that seem a little bit more playful. And if you're creating a space for your fae to like come into your space, like maybe you want to get to know them more, or maybe you just want to say thank you. One of the things that one of the plants that I actually like to keep around is a money plant, because they have the twisty turny bottoms, you know, that are braided in on each other. I mean, not all of them are like that, but most of them are like that. because it kind of mimics a slide and like all these fun things. Like the more playful the offering is to the fae, the more likely they will come around. And you can create like little fae doors, you can put out like mushrooms, rocks that tend to like shimmer a little bit more in the sun. Like all of that is great stuff for fae. I used to make like these boxes that had a bunch of twinkle lights and things like, and I would hang them from trees and just made it look very enchanting. And it was like face central. And my friend and I would be doing Zooms, and she was like, what is happening behind you? And I was like, I put so many lights up and now it's like Faye Central, and it was like pew 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 going on all night long. It was really funny. But the Fae are really, really amazing, and they don't leave you, and they again are really protective. So if you are ever like out and about and you need help with shielding, you can ask your Fae like team to help protect you. The Fae will also like, if they don't like someone who's around you, they're gonna make it really clear in the 3D. Like they're not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna mess with them in the spiritual realm, which is what they'll do. They'll mess with people. Like they'll take things, they'll hide things if they feel like they just don't want to they're like not having it with this person. They will do it in the 3D space. Like they will literally take stuff in front of you. So know that like once you start working with the Fae, just get ready, because they're a whole different type of energy. They're one of my favorites, and I will forever like love Fae energy, and I just have a special connection to it, and like lineage wise and all these fun things. And I just invite you to, like, my rule number 1 in the group is like keep a book or a grim or something that you can write in and write all the instances and just kind of track them. Most of the time you can also meditate and you can start to see their shapes and their figures if they've been flying around. If you can't fully see them in the 3D, you can definitely meditate and like look into the energy that is around you, and then you'll begin to see them, which is why it's good to develop your clairs, so you can get to know your spiritual team and know that they are there, and they're really just the sweetest thing. And you can even hear their teeny tiny voices. They're very sweet, but again, like, do not cross them. They're amazing protectors. I'm just gonna keep saying that because I feel like all the books too that I was reading, like, yes, they do talk about them being protectors, but like I don't think people understand how protective they actually are, and how they'll literally guide you to other Fae. Like the Orishas do the same thing in terms of guiding you, but like they're, I would say, the next biggest group that like guides you to other Fae. And you know, I met someone in New Orleans who was very much so Fae, very, very gifted. And she knew it before I even said anything. And she was like, hey, little Fae sister. And I was like, yay. Like, you just start to get to know like your whole family, and it's the best thing in the whole wide world. But this is a random video about working with the Fae and the fairies. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe right below if you've worked with Fae or you're curious about working with Fae, or let me know if you're going to join on Thursday or Friday so I can teach you more about the fairies. And stay tuned for some more videos on being outside and how to recognize these actual spots, because I'm going to share it with you. And I also have some really fun stuff coming called the Hidden Fairies, which I'm excited to share with you all. It's a fun creative project. So I will talk to you all soon. Bye, friends.